All right, let's talk about something that is, frankly, pretty terrifying for any driver: a sinking brake pedal. It's a critical safety warning from your car, and it's something you absolutely need to understand. So let's break down exactly what's happening and what you need to do.
So picture this. You're rolling up to a stop sign, you go to press the brake like you've done a million times, but this time there's no firm resistance. Instead, your foot just keeps going, sinking right down to the floor. It's a heart-stopping moment and it tells you something has gone very, very wrong with your car's most important safety system.
So, what's actually going on here? Well, it all comes down to a critical loss of something called hydraulic pressure. And without that pressure, your brakes just can't work. This is not a maybe I should get that checked out kind of problem. This is a stop the car right now emergency. To really get why, we need a quick look at how your brakes actually function. See, your entire brake system is hydraulic. When you push that pedal, you aren't physically squeezing the wheels yourself. What you're actually doing is pushing on a special, incompressible fluid, your brake fluid. That fluid travels through a network of lines and transmits that exact force to your brake pads, which then clamp down and stop the car. So if you lose that fluid or the pressure, well, that force never makes it to the wheels. Okay, so how do we figure out what's gone wrong? We're going to go on a little diagnostic journey together. We'll start with the simplest, most common causes, and then work our way up to the more serious component failures. This is pretty much the exact path a mechanic would follow to track down the source of the problem. So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the basics, checking the fluid level and looking for any obvious leaks. From there, we'll dive into a more sneaky problem: air in the brake lines. And finally, if we still haven't found the culprit, we'll investigate the major parts of the system that could be failing. Let's get started with step 1. First things first, just check the brake fluid. Pop the hood and you'll find the reservoir. It's usually a small, clear plastic container. You'll see min and max lines right on the side. If that fluid is anywhere near or below the min line, well, you've definitely found a problem. The cap will even tell you the exact type of fluid you need, like DOT3 or DOT4. But remember, low fluid is almost always a sign of a bigger issue. If your fluid is low, you have to ask yourself, where did it go? And the most common answer is an external leak. Check for any puddles or wet spots under your car, especially where you park. Then get a flashlight and take a close look at the thin metal brake lines running to each wheel. If you see any signs of moisture or oily residue on those lines or the parts they connect to, you've probably found your leak. That's your hydraulic pressure literally escaping the system. But what if your fluid level is perfectly fine and you've looked everywhere and there are absolutely no visible leaks? Well, the problem might be something you can't even see: an invisible invader hiding inside your brake lines. And this, right here, this is the whole problem in a nutshell. Remember how we said brake fluid is incompressible? That's the magic. You push on it, and it doesn't get smaller. It transfers force. Air, on the other hand, is super compressible. So when air gets in the lines, all the force from your foot just goes into squishing those little air bubbles instead of actually stopping the car. The telltale sign of air in the lines is a brake pedal that feels, well, spongy or mushy. It's just not firm. You might also notice that if you pump the brake pedal a couple of times, it firms up for a moment. Air usually gets in after a sloppy repair job, or, and this is interesting, if your brake fluid is really old. See, brake fluid absorbs moisture over time, and under heavy braking, that water can actually boil and turn into steam, which is a gas, creating compressible bubbles right there in your lines. And there's only one way to fix this. It's a specific procedure called bleeding the brakes. A mechanic has to go to each wheel and systematically flush fluid through the system to force every last one of those trapped air bubbles out. Okay, so the fluid is full, there are no leaks, and the pedal doesn't feel spongy. Where do we look now? Well, at this point, we have to start investigating the heart of the system itself. We're likely looking at a failure in one of two major components. And here's a pretty neat diagnostic test you can actually do yourself to check one of those parts: the brake booster. First, with the engine turned off, just pump the brake pedal 7 or 8 times. Then, hold your foot down firmly on the pedal and start the engine. Now, as soon as the engine starts, you should feel the pedal sink just a little bit, maybe about half an inch, as the power assist kicks in. If that pedal stays rock solid and doesn't move at all, that's a classic symptom of a failing brake booster. The booster is what uses engine vacuum to multiply the force from your foot, making the car easy to stop. Without it, braking becomes incredibly difficult. But here's the thing. While a booster failure is possible, the number one most frequent cause of that specific, slowly sinking to the floor feeling is the other big component, the master cylinder. This is the device that creates all that hydraulic pressure in the first place. And when its internal parts wear out, the symptoms are very distinct.
And this chart really nails the difference. With a failing master cylinder, the key symptom is the pedal just slowly sinks while you're holding it down at a stoplight. That's because the seals inside are worn out, letting fluid leak past the piston instead of pushing it down the lines, so you won't see a puddle on the ground. A failing booster, though, totally different feeling. The pedal just becomes extremely hard to push.
So we've walked through all the potential causes, from simple to complex. But honestly, regardless of the reason, if your brake pedal ever sinks to the floor, there is only one right thing to do. In that moment, absolutely nothing else matters. Not where you're going, not that you're running late. There is just one single priority. Your number one priority is to get that car to a safe location and get it stopped. Use your emergency brake if you have to. Do not try to limp it home or get it to the next exit. This is a critical failure that will not get better on its own. And here's your action plan. It's not a suggestion. Once you are safely stopped, turn the car off. Do not try to drive it again. Call for a tow truck. Your car is not safe, period. And have it towed directly to a professional mechanic to figure out what's wrong. Let me be crystal clear about this. A sinking brake pedal isn't your car making a polite suggestion. It's a blaring alarm, a flashing red light. It's your car screaming that its most critical safety system is failing. You know, an experience like this is a massive wake-up call. It's a harsh reminder of just how much we depend on that one pedal. So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. When was the last time you actually popped the hood and took a look at your brake fluid? It takes less than a minute, and it might just be the most important thing you do for your car all year.